Hello, rabbit lovers. Welcome to the Happy Harvest Homestead. I thought I'd give you guys a bit of different scenery for this video. I'm not sure about you guys watching these videos, but I know when I'm editing these videos, I'm getting tired of just watching the rabbits in my colony as I'm talking to you guys. So I figured I'd give you a beautiful view of our entire homestead. So I hope you enjoy this little different type of scenery. I know I probably will whenever I'm editing this. If you guys are true rabbit lovers and you raise rabbits like I do, you probably won't be as surprised as I was at myself with the announcement I'm going to give to you guys. But I did a thing, and in this video we're going to be preparing for getting a whole bunch more rabbits. Of course, you guys are probably rolling your eyes now. You know that rabbit math is a thing, and yes, you can never just have, a set number of rabbits. You always end up getting more and more. But as you guys know, I really did think Elodie would be the last rabbit I ever had to buy. We had a whole bunch of rabbits, and we had multiple does, multiple bucks of enough genetic diversity to hopefully be able to, for the next long while, just keep babies whenever we wanted to increase our breeders or replace rabbits we had to cull. So I said goodbye to the possibility of buying more rabbits from a different breeder. But recently I have been re-evaluating my decision. We're in a much different place now than we were then when I made that decision. We had the Pasturella outbreak last year that forced me to cull a lot of the does who had a lot of genetic diversity. Right now, all of our meat rabbit breeders, except for one, are related to each other in some way. Some of them a lot more related than others, but still related. And then after having this mystery illness problem, which we have, I think for sure, stopped dealing with the problem since we have had no more rabbits die for quite a while. I have been evaluating our rabbits and comparing them with our goals, and ideally, if I had an unlimited amount of rabbits and I could cull as many as I wanted to and, still have some left over, most of the breeders we have right now would be on my culling list. You guys know Ronwin has trouble getting used to new does in his colony whenever he is the buck in the colony. And especially when we had him and Ivanhoe right next to each other, I kept noticing how small Ronwin is. And, for meat rabbits, you don't want, a small rabbit. You want a big, meaty rabbit. So he is on my culling list. And Ivanhoe, our other buck, it's possible that he is having trouble breeding these does. As I've mentioned before, it could be a side effect from the sickness we've been dealing with. But you guys know some of our breeders, especially Elodie and Ivy, are doing really good through this whole sickness. They haven't gotten skinny or anything. Acrobat, who's gotten super skinny, I would totally expect her to, not get pregnant and not have babies because her body is having so much strain from fighting off illness and stuff. But Elodie and Ivy aren't getting super skinny. So, I don't know. I guess it still could be sickness, but it seems more and more likely that it's something else causing the lack of litters. And the fact that we took Ronwin out of the colony and switched him for Ivanhoe, and then since that point we've had no more litters born, seems kind of telling, and it's seeming increasingly likely to me that Ivanhoe is the problem. So right off the bat, both of our meat rabbit bucks are less than ideal. Then you guys know that Elodie has a very interesting temperament, and she can sometimes be a very harsh herd queen. Rabbits who are super low on the pecking order, like Iantha or Ivy, sometimes get wounds from her. Well, I'm assuming it's from her. I haven't actually seen her wound anyone, that's why I haven't taken her out of the colony, just in case I'm wrong. But she is always the one who is bossing new rabbits around and chasing them around the colony whenever we do put new rabbits in. So that leads me to believe that she'd also be the one bossing around and wounding existing rabbits when she gets annoyed with them. And then you guys know Iantha is super small and is a really bad mom and has super tiny babies, and we're going to cull her. I'm just going to wait for the weather to warm up, and then I'll probably cull her. Then Zuzu is also kind of small, and she did a bad job with her first litter. It is possible she'll get better with her second and third litters, so I'm waiting until she gets pregnant and gives birth again to tell if I don't want to keep her or not. But it is possible that she'll continue to be a bad mom, and we'll have to cull her as well. Then of all the breeders, Acrobat is the skinniest, though she has not died from this mystery illness yet, and hopefully she never does. She is the most susceptible to it, and if you want hardy rabbits, it would be better to, keep a doe like Ivy or Elodie who didn't get sick hardly at all, rather than keep Acrobat who got super sick. And if you guys don't remember, just the fact that her name is Acrobat will easily remind you that she's an escape artist and I would prefer to eliminate the chance that that trait will be passed on to our kits. And then while Ivy is a good mom, she has small-ish litters and also is small herself, and her kits are small, so it takes a long time for them to get to butcher weight. So none of the 7 meat rabbit breeders I have fully fit my rabbitry goals, and obviously that is not a good thing. Until just recently, my plan was to keep the rabbits I have and continue to breed them, and then keep their babies who exhibit traits I want, and then slowly over the next several generations, finally get some perfectly ideal rabbits. But then last year we had coccidiosis and pasturella, and all of our kits except for Acrobat and Iantha died. So not only could we keep a whole bunch of really good kits for breeders, we hardly got any rabbit meat last year. And when you're raising meat rabbits, it's really discouraging when you don't get any meat. But I didn't give up, even though I was discouraged. We were going to bounce back from it this year and keep a whole bunch of babies and have a whole bunch of meat. And then the mystery illness hit, and again all of our kits died, and we're having no more litters. So our whole plan of bouncing back and being better and actually getting to butcher some rabbits who are supposed to be butchered instead of just like holding ones that are sick is not happening. And after 2 years in a row of having this happen, I'm thinking that my plan of just letting next year be better and then finally starting our plan then might not be working as well as I hoped it would. So instead of slowly but surely improving our breeders each generation, and then eventually over like a whole bunch of generations getting some ideal rabbits, I am going to speed up the process and buy a whole bunch of rabbits and hope that in the whole bunch we get, some of them are ideal rabbits or super close to ideal, so it doesn't take years and years and years to finally get to where we want to be. As I was thinking about this, I was starting to worry. Most of the rabbits we can find around here are raised in cages and fed pellets, and even though we were able to find one person who raises in colonies, they still feed pellets. So I was worried that getting those types of regular rabbits would be a lot worse than keeping our own kits who are on our special diet and who are raised in colonies and are already born into the system that we like for them. But then I was reflecting on Elodie and how out of all the meat rabbits we have, she is the one who most closely matches our ideal rabbit. Her personality is a little off, but that's all. And how we bought her as an adult. And for all of her life before we bought her, she was fed pellets and raised in a cage. So I said to myself, if Elodie, who was raised like a regular rabbit, could turn out this good in our not regular setup, then there's also a good chance that other regular raised rabbits will also turn out, hopefully, to be good in our not regular setup. Getting these many more rabbits will also give us a really big flush of genetic diversity, especially during making that rabbit family history video. I was realizing how related all our rabbits are and how not really good qualities all our rabbits are. And I was reflecting on how line breeding a whole bunch of not the best quality rabbits probably is not the best idea. So in getting a whole bunch more rabbits, that will stop that problem. Also, right now there are rabbits for sale and they're for decent prices. And with all the things happening in the world, I kind of want to take advantage of this good opportunity now. I'm not sure if in the future we'll be able to get our hands on more rabbits. A lot of people are now growing their own food and raising their own animals, and that's great, but that means that a lot of people are getting into rabbits, and so the demand for rabbits is increasing, and that can cause rabbits to be super expensive, or there to be a limited amount of them because so many people are buying them. And then a lot of people could, instead of selling their rabbits, be wanting to eat them because a lot of things are more expensive nowadays. So I figured it'd be good to get some fresh breeders now than to wait a lot longer and keep trying for like a few more years to just keep our own kits as breeders and then keep failing at it and then finally decide, okay, now we should actually get more breeders and then there not be any rabbits available for sale or have them be super expensive. And all of this came about very quickly. A few days ago, I was firmly in the old idea of just keeping our own kits as breeders and not buying more. But I kept getting these little ideas, these little impressions, these little thoughts, like, hey, you should get some more rabbits, or hey, look at Craigslist and see what rabbits are available, or just little thoughts and little ideas. So I finally decided to act on those little promptings and go ahead and get a lot more rabbits. So in full transparency, this idea is not entirely mine. I believe a lot of it is what God is prompting me to do. It is possible, though, that my inner crazy rabbit lady has something to do with this as well. Or maybe it's a mix of both, promptings from the Lord and my crazy rabbit lady self. But the way this all played out makes me think that a higher power is influencing this decision. So today is not a get the rabbits video, it's a explaining what we're doing video. But as part of that, I'm going to prepare the rabbit cages. And yes, I did say cages, even though I just made a video about how I hate raising rabbits in cages, and how I would rather not raise rabbits than have meat rabbits in cages. I am putting our meat rabbits in cages, but just temporarily. It is a good practice to, whenever you get new animals, quarantine them away from your other animals in case they are sick. So if they are sick, they don't spread illness to your existing animals that you already have. So we're going to put our new rabbits in cages and or tractors for at least a month to make sure they're completely healthy before putting them in the colony with the other rabbits. I don't have a definite plan on how many rabbits I'm going to get or how many different groups of rabbits from different people. This video is being filmed before it's being posted, so these dates might throw you guys off a little bit, but we're getting some rabbits on Saturday, then we're getting some more different rabbits on Tuesday, and then we're going on a trip in March sometime, so I don't want to force my family to take on a whole bunch of extra rabbit chores when I'm gone. So we're only getting some rabbits now, and then I might end up getting more after the trip is done. And though I have done this before, it would be really silly of me to get a whole bunch of rabbits before preparing their cage, so then they have to sit in boxes for a few hours while I fix up their cage stuff. So I'm going to do things right this time and prepare their cage and get it all ready for them before we get the rabbits so that they can come home and go into their new place right away. So this is the hutch we're going to be preparing for rabbits. As you can see, it is nowhere near ready for rabbits right now. There's a whole bunch of extra chicken stuff in it, and it's not winterized at all. If I put rabbits in here right now, they'd be way too cold. So I'm going to do a few things to prepare it better. First of which is get all this old chicken feeders and stuff out of here. Okay, all the unnecessary chicken stuff is moved out of there. I have fixed their little resting mats so that they're more in a good spot. Excuse me, Rooster. And I've added 3 little pieces of cloth, or not cloth, plastic tarpy stuff to help winterize it. I put one on either end so that the wind... Excuse me, Rooster. So the wind won't blow through and get them really cold. Then I added a little extra bit over here, so now they have a little open area, and then they can also go into, from here to here, is all closed off on all 3 walls. So if it's windy or snowy or cold and rainy, they can have 3 walls of protection. I mean, this is kind of open, but it's not the... but the rain and snow and wind won't blow to all the way over here, so they'll be really protected in this whole area. It's supposed to warm up pretty soon and then be like back to normal spring temperatures. So this would probably be a little unnecessary, but I figured it'd better be safe than sorry. And even though most of their cages is blocked off from the light, I was kind of worrying that like it'd be too dark in there for them and it'd kind of mess up their circadian rhythm and all that stuff. But in addition to these little two open places, their entire floor is open, it's wire, so I think they'll be pretty good when it comes to light. And if I have to sacrifice either potential warmth or potential light, I'd rather go with the latter option. And before we do the final step of getting their hay and water set up in there, well, like the containers, not like the actual things, we have one extra step that most people wouldn't really have to deal with, but you guys know our puppy Roxy likes rabbits, and if you followed my little special mini-series about filming every day during our last big snowstorm, you will know that she likes to try to go under the rabbit cages and nibble at their feet. Whenever she can't get under the rabbits, she usually leaves them alone pretty good. Like with the Angora cages, we put a little bit of wire all around so she can't go under the cages, and for the most part, she leaves them alone. Whenever I'm out here with her and doing their chores and I'm like interested in them, she'll be interested in them with me, but once I leave and she leaves, then she doesn't really care. The tractor is a little more interesting for her because it's more on her level, but these guys she barely even cares about. But if I leave this hutch how it is, she'll be able to get under it and sniff at their feet, and she'll like chase them back and forth. She can't like hurt them, especially because this wire is so small. She won't be able to get her teeth up in or anything, so she won't like be able to like wound them or hurt them. But I can just imagine how frustrating and scary and hard that would be to just be constantly chased back and forth by this dog. But we don't have any wire like we have on the Angoras that's like the right height for this cage specifically. The rest of our wire we have is like really tall, so I'd have to like cut it and do all this weird stuff to it. So instead of doing that, I'm going to see if I can rig up some pallets or some bits of wood to kind of make like a little fence along to kind of fence off this area so that Roxy cannot bug them. Okay, just finished putting boards on all three sides. So now Roxy can't bug the rabbits whenever we put them in here. Now I just have to attach the hay feeder and find a water bowl, and that's it. Okay, the hay feeder is up and the water is in there. Everything is ready for rabbits who are going to be in there tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining me in my explaining and my preparing. I will be sure to bring you guys along and film the process of us getting the rabbits tomorrow and putting them in here. Hopefully, Roxy can't squeeze through the wood slats I put down. I'm pretty sure I positioned them correctly so that you won't be able to get under there, but I am willing to make adjustments if necessary. So I will see you guys tomorrow for me, but it'll probably be the next video for you. Is that Thursday? Because this will be Monday's video. And so then Thursday, you'll get the video. I'm not entirely sure. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye!